Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Today we're back here with more Mystery Files, and today we got the most paranormal animal encounter of all time. Well, again, looks like we got ourselves a cryptid or something. I don't know. It's definitely a theory, or just definitely something mysterious and probably unknown or unsolved. Let's just see what's going on. Be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoy. Here we go. Ready.
Welcome to Mystery Files, where we
Hi,
take a
Shane.
deep dive into cases that span from the creepy to the truly bizarre and everything in between. I'm Shane, and today I'll be forcing my colleague Ryan to hear all about the mischievous case of Gef the Mongoose.
Oh, a
In the end,
mongoose.
you'll have to decide if the mystery is solved or if it's simply
really?
a mystery.
Okay. I'm curious. What's up with the mongoose? Go.
Gef the Mongoose, what could this possibly be about, huh?
It's about a mongoose named Gef.
Is he a good mongoose?
I think you'll end up liking him quite a bit. There's a lot to learn here today, so let's begin.
Well, let's hear him.
The year was 1931. On the Isle of Man, in an isolated farmhouse named Dorlish Cashen, the well-to-do Irving family suddenly started hearing odd noises and scratching sounds in the walls of their home.
Did you say Isle of Man? Like,
Man,
man, not non.
not.
That would be tasty.
No, man, Isle of Man.
Okay,
Oh,
not
man.
as enticing.
Suspecting
That's like this remind me of something. Wasn't there like they covered a lighthouse disappearance, Alien Moore? I think it was off the Isle of Man, wasn't it? Or am I thinking of a different Isle of Man? I don't know. At least that's what I remember. So don't I mean, I'll probably look back and see like, okay, am I right or wrong? I don't know. But anywho, let's see. Let's keep moving. I think we're about to meet Jeff.
mice or other small vermin, James Irving tried to root out the animal by using poison, traps, and even a gun.
God.
Well, you know,
Just shoot the wall.
you see a mouse, you go.
Oh,
Like
but
in
you said tried to
Ratatouille.
like lure him out. Like, why would a gun lure?
No, I think he was probably shooting at the walls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was just sitting by the mouse hole, like, come on.
Come on, you
My day. I definitely
Come here,
don't have a
you
gun pointed at you.
Now, despite James's best efforts, the mysterious critter always managed to elude capture. Eventually, the family would discover that the source of their sleepless nights was, of all things, a furry little mongoose who went by the name Jeff.
Come on. My name's Jeff. It's
My name's
good.
Jeff.
Every time.
The Irvings described Jeff as yellowish in color with a long, slightly brown, bushy tail and about the length of 3 rats.
That's a pretty big guy.
Yeah.
Look at his eyelashes. They're beautiful.
They're gorgeous.
Is that picture accurate? Did he have gorgeous eyelashes like that?
I think maybe all mongooses do.
I don't think I've ever seen a mongoose.
Well,
I'm
now
starting to
curious
realize
about
I
that
don't see
now.
a lot of
Can you get a
animals.
picture
Yeah,
of them?
you don't.
Only my pee-pee man.
Yeah.
His puppy, I guess.
Now, mongooses, not mongoose, are not native to the Isle of Man. Jeff would spend his early days growling, hissing, and squeaking at the family. It was all these strange little noises that set James to wondering if the creature was perhaps capable of mimicking the sounds of other animals.
I gotta say, that picture not as cute as the drawing.
You don't think so?
This looks like a fucking demonic squirrel.
He's got those like sort of devil eyes.
Yeah, he's got
yeah.
those devil goat
the,
eyes.
the oblong
Yeah.
pupils. I see those oblong pupils on a thing, I want to behead it.
I'd shoot this mongoose with a gun so
You would?
quickly. Anything that's willing to fight a snake, not to be trifled with.
I'll bet you $1,000 neither of us will ever come into contact with a mongoose for the rest of our lives.
I mean, I've avoided it thus far.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So James, along with his wife Margaret and their
James,
daughter
Margaret,
Moira,
and Valerie.
started making different animal sounds at their hidden guest. Within a few days, the curious creature was able to make the sound of a bird, a dog, whatever animal the family could name. That's crazy, right?
Wait, what?
Whatever
I
animal
don't
the
think a
family
mongoose
could
could do
name.
'Cause
that.
I'd love to see it.
So you could say
hell?
like peacock.
That was pretty good.
That was really good.
Do it again. I'm like Jeff.
Alligator.
Okay.
Yes. Prairie dog. Very good. Hummingbird. Squirrel. You ever hear a squirrel bark?
No, what does a squirrel bark like?
So-
That's what they sound like?
Yeah, you can hear them barking every now and then. It's pretty funny.
Crazy.
Ready to test the limits of their little mongoose's brains, young Voira decided to recite nursery rhymes to it.
These people are nuts. I wonder if you can do impressions. Let's read it a story. What the fuck?
Immediately, the creature would repeat the rhymes in his high-pitched little voice, said to be 2
Wait,
octaves
what?
higher than a human's. Soon he started to parrot the family's conversations, slowly mastering the ability to communicate.
When's the real story
the-
going to start? This is a bit, right? There's no
What
way
happened?
this
Like,
is the real story.
the hell?
He started talking.
No, I will not give you a divorce.
Higher.
I will not give you a divorce.
Yeah, but not just repeating, but mastering the ability to communicate.
So he's not just like a parrot, in other
No.
words. You're telling me about a mongoose that can talk right now, so
That's what I'm telling you about.
like Rocket Raccoon.
A little bit. Once capable of speech, the mongoose was finally able to introduce himself as Gef. If this little guy came up to you and started talking, you'd be pretty...
It's like that one time I thought that cat talked to me.
Yes. We tell that story a lot, and it's never exciting, but
No.
it did happen.
It did happen.
Gef introduced himself. His name is Gef. They
get
did
it.
not name
Okay.
him. Oh, cool. He told them,
My name's Gef.
okay.
You're like, all right, Jeff.
He claimed to have been born in New Delhi nearly 80 years earlier on June 7th, 1852, and that he'd arrived on the Isle of Man in 1912 when a farmer introduced a mob of mongooses to his farm to contain the wild rabbit population. What a rich life.
Is this coming from their memoir, or are they telling this to the psych ward that they're at, or like
Well,
where?
you'll find
I
out
feel
that
like
this
it
was
would be a
widely
psych
reported. This was not just the family.
Okay, because I don't know why this story exists, who they were telling it to.
Why does any story exist? You know, we're weavers of dreams, aren't we?
I certainly
We're just
would
like
say so.
we're like bad robot.
Let's hear more about this mongoose that came from New Delhi.
Okay, well, some sources say it was
Yeah, even I would have been like, okay, you guys are pretty insane. Like New Delhi. I don't think. Wait, are you mongooses from India? I'll have to look this up later. But still, what? Anyway,
actually the family members who first started calling him Gef, and that he just liked the name. And there's that for you.
there you go.
Gef. I got a passport.
Gef also claimed that the disturbing noises he'd made upon first meeting the family were just meant as an introductory joke or a leg pull. And when later asked about James's early efforts to trap or even harm him, Gef said he and James had laughed it off long ago. It's rumored that the mongoose was so clever that not only did he know words in multiple languages such as Welsh,
hell?
Hindustani, Spanish, and Russian,
Hindustani?
but that he also knew sign language.
You're kidding me.
That's crazy, dude. Oh my god.
I mean, he's a very talented little mongoose.
That is fantastic.
We love Gef. Now, Gef could also read, which he supposedly proved when he screamed after reading the obituary of a man who shared his name. Not the name Gef the Mongoose, just the name Gef.
Me. Me. Is that me? Am I dead? Me quiero.
Oh my god.
Gef also suffered from a strong case of cleithrophobia, or the fear of getting captured, a condition suffered by non-speaking mongooses as well. And so he would rarely allow himself to be observed lest he find himself caught. Because of this, Gef chose to remain hidden safely in the walls of the Irvings' home. Gef was also extremely agile. Voira once tried to take his picture, but he ran off just as she pressed the button. Life with Gef was a little chaotic, to say the least. A mercurial critter. He was charming one minute, volatile the next. If you had a little talking mongoose living in your walls, now that seems kind of nice, right? It's like Siri, but better.
I said this before in a previous Mystery Files. If I had the ability to talk to my dog,
Oh, yeah.
I'd do it. in a
That's
second.
basically what this is.
He would probably be saying the dumbest shit on earth, but I
Yeah.
would love to hear it.
When angry, he
Wouldn't
would
we all?
throw little rocks or objects at the family members through small holes bored into the wood-paneled walls. He even threatened the family once, saying,
I could kill you if I liked, but I won't.
Jesus Christ.
All right.
that's kind of fun, having a little guy in your walls who's threatening to kill you all the
No,
time.
I don't know about that.
What's he gonna do, chew your throat out? Well, I guess he could do that.
Yeah, I don't know what he would do.
Yeah. Of himself, Gef once said,
I am a freak. I have hands and I have feet. And if you saw me, you would faint. You'd be
Okay.
petrified, mummified, turned into a stone, or a pillar of salt.
I think I'd take
hell?
the gun back out at this point.
Just-
This guy needs to shut the fuck up.
Now, in better times, Gef would often sing and dance in the little sanctum the family created for him in Voira's room. He'd sometimes even bounce a ball along to the gramophone's music. The accomplished little hunter would also leave offerings of strangled rabbits for the family in order to earn his keep.
Just thinking of him
Strangled
signing to a
rabbits?
rabbit, I'm gonna kill
Rabbit.
you, and there's
The strangling never quite. I always assumed he would just like kill him with his claws or
No,
something. But the
he's
thought
just
of it being
Oh,
like,
I'm
I'm
gonna
doing
take-
this for my family. I can't wait to see the light leave your eyes. Shut up.
well, in 1934, Gef decided to expand his horizons and explore the nearby town, often by catching the local bus or hitching a ride on the back of axles of cars. It's
What?
purported that the clever critter was able to calculate the bus fare needed for the trip. Upon returning from his adventures, Gef would have a fresh round of gossip from his time amongst the townsfolk to share with the family.
We're proceeding with the story as if it's normal for an animal
hell?
to talk, like he's Paddington Bear or something.
Yeah.
mean,
Nobody on the
or-
bus was alarmed that a mongoose just paid a fare and said, hello.
Hey, you know, it's a different
Okay,
culture.
the fact that the
Island
mongoose
man,
paid
you
the
know?
He
fare.
signed to them with
What?
their thumbs.
Well, you know, he probably just went like,
Hi.
Okay.
In time, sightings of Gef were no longer contained to just the Irving family. James's friends and neighbors also claimed to have seen the elusive Gef through the small holes in the Irving's walls. Nicknamed the Derby Spook, word of
Derby
Gef
Spook.
eventually hit the newspapers. Reporters from London traveled all the way to the Isle of Man hoping to interview the now famous mongoose. Allegedly, the Irving family even received a generous offer from an American agent hoping to bring Gef to the States for a tour. But due to Jeff's fear of being trapped, he refused the deal. I'd offered Gef a picture deal. Bring Gef to Hollywood.
That's right.
He would have been a star.
He could have been a star.
Can you imagine if Fred Astaire was like doing one of his little numbers and he was like, and ladies and gentlemen, and then little Gef come out?
Gef the Mongoose.
And then it cuts to a black and white photo, Hollywood true story. Yes, but his story backstage was much darker. Cut to him just strangling a rabbit. Jeff, no, Jeff.
Don't you?
Now, as you can imagine, the sudden attention was a lot to bear, and as Gef Mania spread across the map, the gentle mongoose found himself retreating from the public eye. Instead of chatting with his new visitors, he'd often make noises at them. Gef also piqued the interest of London's spiritualist society, attracting the attention of both Harry Price, a parapsychologist and ghost hunter, and Nandor Fodor, a research officer for the International Institute for Psychical Research. You know these guys? These heroes of yours?
I was about to say, does
Good names.
Does it horrify you that one day you're going to be a framer on a screen just like this, Shane Madej, Ghost Hunter?
Yeah, but I hope, you know, there's some context.
It's going to be a big ass shadow for your head.
Right there. It's pretty good. In his book, Confessions of a Ghost Hunter, Harry Price stated that it was a letter from James's friend that first introduced him to Gef. Curious, he wrote to James asking about this marvelous mongoose, and James happily replied with
Okay,
stories
this
of
I gotta
Gef,
hear.
as well as an invitation to come meet him. Not yet convinced, Harry kept in mind the plethora of traditional British folklore
hi,
that
Dumpy.
spoke of fae-like creatures who were animal in form, but human in intelligence, and decided that the case was at least worth investigating. Before Harry visited Gef, he first sent his friend and fellow researcher, whom he refers to in his book as Captain X, but other sources have said to be Captain James MacDonald, to do a preliminary investigation in February of 1932. In Captain X's subsequent report, he stated that while he had heard Gef speak, he never actually saw the mongoose. While Gef made it known that he hated it when guests would question his existence, James asked Gef if Captain X could return 2 years later in 1934. Gef agreed, and on his visit, Captain X was given samples of Jeff's fur, said to have been personally plucked by the mongoose.
Why did he just show himself then?
He was shy, and he said,
And well, afraid of getting captured.
Got some hair for you.
and he gave him the hair,
sound like
probably in a
Gollum,
little
dude.
envelope or something, and spoke to him through the wall. like,
Ridiculous. If you introduced me to your friends and I refused to come out, but I said, here's a couple strands of my hair.
"Oh, I can't make it out tonight, but I'll send you some hair."
Don't worry, that won't be weird. That'll put them at ease.
The fur.
Like, okay, like I know, like it's possible real, but can you imagine if it was like one of the Dalby families just doing this and just had a random mongoose. They were just pretending to talk. I mean, then again, there were neighbors who heard him outside the house, I think. Or, I mean, still inside that house. So, unless they captured Jeff, I mean, yeah, good luck trying to convince me. I mean, if I was there, I'd be like, okay, where the hell is this mongoose? Like, I don't hear him. I mean, if I did hear him, but like, hey, Jeff, you mind coming out? Also, the fact, like, 80 years ago, or, I don't know, did he mean 8? Hard to say. What do you guys think? Did he say 8 or 80? Anyway.
Was sent in for testing and was determined to be dog fur.
Wah,
No roots
wah.
attached, implying that they were cut as opposed to plucked. Giving the benefit of the doubt, Harry suggested that perhaps Jeff cut the hair from the Irving's dog and passed it off as his own in order to cause confusion.
Tricky little Jeff.
Now that's the mind of a mongoose.
Cutting out the.
Taking a little off the top.
He's just chasing the dog around the house
with his whiskers.
I've got a pork chop. All right, in the summer of 1935, Harry Price finally decided to come and meet Jeff. But just as Harry confirmed his plans, Jeff unexpectedly went missing. Despite Jeff's disappearance, Harry decided to follow through with his plans, bringing along BBC Magazine editor Richard Rex Lambert to act as witness.
Mr. R.S. Lambert pointing to a break in the sod hedge where Jeff is alleged to leave the rabbits he killed.
There appears to be a break in the sod hedge.
Yeah.
A break in the sod hedge where he leaves a rabbit.
Just a pit of 50 strangled rabbits.
It appears Jeff's been on a murder spree.
Serial killing monkeys.
When the men arrived, Jeff had already been missing for a month, though Margaret Irving suspected that he was actually in hiding. Despite Harry's best efforts at making contact, the men had to leave without a single interaction with the mischievous little mongoose. Miraculously, the cheeky critter returned the night Harry and Rex left. It seemed that Margaret was correct. Jeff had been secretly observing them the whole time as he was offended by Rex's skepticism. Later, Harry was sent plasticine imprints of Jeff's paw and teeth. The imprints were sent to the British Museum for authentication,
what are they?
where it was found that the paw print was likely that of a dog.
These people will need to be put in prison. They didn't really do anything too bad, but they've annoyed me enough that they need to be put in prison.
Jesus Christ.
They
The
need
dog
to be put in
again?
jail.
They're just having some fun. And also,
They can have fun in jail.
let's not jump the gun here. We haven't gotten into the theories yet.
Okay.
And
I mean, fair,
you don't
but it
know
sounds like it's
that
mostly their dog.
This isn't real.
Sure.
Okay.
You're right. No, I don't know that.
Soon after, James Irving fell ill and Voira moved out of the family home, prompting Jeff to either leave or stop speaking altogether. Broke his poor little mongoose heart. In 1937, Margaret sold the farm to a man named Graham, who was purported to have killed an unusual animal on the farm resembling some kind of large weasel.
Oh, tell me
They're
he
like,
didn't.
oh, Jeff isn't talking anymore. Let's sell the house. Guy moves in. Jeff's like, hi! What the fuck is that? Immediately blows him away.
Get to go to hell, you little Oops. Some reports stated that the animal was killed a year after Graham bought the property, while others say it happened in 1947. Now, there is no confirmation on whether or not the animal killed was a mongoose. As time passed, the farmhouse was eventually demolished. In 1970, an older Voira was interviewed about Jeff, and she maintained the assertion that Jeff was real, never recanting her story. She passed away in 2005. So, you know what time it is, Ryan.
Corkboard time.
Eerie time.
That's right.
Jeff the Mongoose.
Jeff the
Mongoose.
This is the most fun to have yet.
Now, what we're trying to figure out
All right,
here
three theories.
is what the fuck is going on? Is it a hoax? Do these people believe something? Is one person doing this? Are a bunch of people doing this? A lot of people were swept up with Jeff fever, so there's clearly something going on.
I have my idea of what's happening here, but I'll wait to the theories.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. Well, let's begin then.
Sure.
All right, first
Theory
up.
1. Ventriloquism. Jeff was created by Voira, the daughter, who was known to be an amateur ventriloquist. We got
Googly eyes, yeah.
Can we really load up the googly eyes for the rest of this season? Do we have any spare googly eyes? Because I'll start putting them all over the boards.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna see a lot of googly eyes in my
Everything everywhere all at once.
One local reporter claimed to have heard Voira squeak in a very Jeff-like manner, though the family later denied it. Another allegation that might support this theory comes from a Daily Dispatch reporter. He had witnessed Margaret and a hidden Jeff having a conversation in another room. The reporter said that through an obstructed view of the mirror, which you can see here, here's a very in-depth diagram, he saw Voira sitting perfectly still, sucking on a piece of string with her hand positioned just so that her mouth could not fully be seen. Okay. Now, I don't know what the sucking a string has to do with it.
Yeah, I was about to say, is there any significance to the string sucking besides being weird as hell?
It's possibly that's just what they did for fun back then. Yeah, I don't quite know. But in any case, her mouth was...
Sounds like an old-timey insult. Like, go suck a string.
That's pretty good.
Go suck a string, you weasel! Yeah, that's right.
That's the string, weasel.
I like that. Well, in any case, the reporter alleges that when he entered the other room, Jeff stopped talking. However, the Irvings attest that Jeff had been heard while in Voira's presence and has appeared even when different members of the family were known to not be home.
Let me ask you this. Has Jeff and Voira ever been spotted talking at the same time?
According to the family, yes. But Jeff was allegedly also very shy, so, you know, they probably heard Jeff through the walls. Yeah, let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. Oh, we have a little Jeff here. Okay. And I want you to tell me if this reads as sort of convincing, you know?
Okay.
Now, I'm not a trained ventriloquist.
Didn't need to tell me that.
So I've invited you over, and I've introduced you to my little friend, Jeff. Jeff, say hello.
Hello, Ryan.
I mean, I can see your mouth moving.
Hello, Ryan.
You just turned your face away,
Yeah,
and I
that
still
doesn't
can
count.
Hello, Ryan.
Yeah, we can
Do
see
you
him.
have any questions?
Your whole face is moving.
No, I'm smiling.
Hello, Ryan.
You're next.
Do you have any
You know what?
questions
It's pretty
for me?
convincing if I
Yes.
just like focus on the mongoose and don't
Yes.
look at your face. If I completely ignore what you're supposed to do as a ventriloquist, it's very convincing.
Don't look at the man who's
Yeah, we can see your
look at
lip.
me, the little
You're
mongoose.
supposed to like have it
Hearing
open
that
so
it's good is what gets you to stop doing this, then it's very good. It's
or
incredibly
something
good.
like that.
I'm Jeff.
I'm not sure how you pull it off, but
I don't know why I sound Spanish.
anyway, shit.
Do you have a question for Jeff? Okay, well, it was so nice to meet you. And now I have to go to Hollywood.
Oh,
I'm
what a
going
shame.
to be in a picture with Fred Astaire.
All right, Jeff, we'll see you later.
Bye-bye. Oh.
I mean, you can imagine if you showed up to a house in the Isle of Man
He's strangling a rabbit back there.
100 years ago.
wait,
Jeff, no!
No, not Jeff, no!
Pretty convincing stuff.
I'd say so.
On to theory.
Like, I mean, maybe, but hard to say. I'm not even sure what the string is for. Maybe that's how they did it back in the day, but I don't know. I mean, it's possible, but I don't know. What's it's like doing this every time Jet talk? Like, hello, everybody. Like, oh, hey, there he goes. I don't know. I don't think we can actually talk. I can see it, but you got me. What do you guys think? Let me know. Anyway,
2.
except oh,
It was a hoax. Yes, it was a straight up lie. Between the dog
sense.
hair and the dog footprint, it's possible that Jeff was simply an elaborate dog and pony show put on by the Irvings. However, if Jeff was fabricated by the family, their motivations were not clear. I think we can all agree.
I was thinking
True,
that. Like,
true.
I'm pretty sure this is a hoax, but why?
You know, as it turns out, announcing to the world that your home contains a talking magic mongoose that only you can see is not exactly a path to fame and fortune.
And they didn't even agree to the world tour.
Yeah.
They didn't think about the part where, like, we can monetize this, and then they realized they got to prove it, though.
Yeah, Harry Price came over and he was like, well, of course you have to prove it. And they were probably like,
Jeff is nervous!
this is going to ruin the tour.
perfect. Get out of town.
The world tour.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
Very good.
The Irving family never made any money from all the spectacle. In fact, all the publicity actually devalued their farmhouse. Any fame gained was also marred by skepticism and naysayers throwing doubt on the otherwise well-to-do family's reputation.
And they got Gef killed.
They killed our sweet boy!
The house lost its value, and then as soon as somebody moved in, they shot him with a revolver.
I feel like if you're selling your farmhouse that has a magic mongoose, I'd at least tell the new buyer. It seems like if someone was murdered in the house, you tell them about that.
House
I feel like a similar clause with magic mongooses. It'd be like, hey, just a heads up.
You hear a little
voice.
voice.
See a mongoose.
Don't shoot him. It's Gef.
Talk and chat with you and want to be friends.
That's right.
So don't shoot it on sight. All right, on to theory 3, which I think
right,
you're going to like. Maybe.
Alien.
Theory 3.
Oh, poltergeist.
Gef was a poltergeist. Now, what does that mean, Ryan? Poltergeist? Can you translate that for me?
Yeah, it's like a mischievous ghost that would be, you know, moving stuff around the house. Is this positing that a ghost possessed a mongoose, or that it was never a mongoose to begin with?
This was actually posited by some of your people.
And your people.
No.
And your people.
We'll
Some psychic researchers have suggested that Gef was either a poltergeist or a ghost that haunted the family. According to folklore, poltergeists tend to connect to specific people, often an adolescent. Now, Voira was 13 when Gef first appeared. Poltergeists are also typically aggressive or violent towards their bonded person, which Voira initially experienced with Gef, even having to sleep in her parents' room for a while. When asked, Gef would often refer to himself as an, quote, earthbound spirit, though Margaret asserted that Gef was an animal, not a spirit or ghost. Now, Nandor Fodor, who you recall from earlier, the other previously mentioned researcher, suspected that Gef was actually James's creation, given the similarities between their personalities. Nandor posited that James missed and craved the stimulating conversation that only sophisticated company could provide, and that through this conflict in his subconscious, he managed to manifest Gef, thereby using the poltergeist as a way to lure more interesting people to him.
I don't know about this one. I mean, they clearly saw a mongoose talking is the thing. That was the whole story. He was dancing and playing maracas and shit like that.
Yeah, allegedly. God, I hope he played maracas.
Little tiny maracas. I don't even know how he's holding them. He didn't have thumbs. Then again, he was sign language, using sign language, so maybe he found a way.
It should be noted that, similar to Harry Price and the mysterious Captain X, Nandor Fodor also failed to lay eyes upon Gef during his visit. Out of all of these, Ryan, which would you say is the most convincing?
No theory 4? Gef was real?
That is not a theory we're entertaining. I've had a lot of fun with this episode. I think it's a delightful story.
That's crazy, man.
I think it would betray my own sort of instincts to put a theory for this was all real. What if it was? I mean, if you want it, I'll take it. If you want to go all in on Gef, and
I'm pushing all my chips in.
Yeah, I mean, I'll happily just stake all my reputation on the whimsy of believing that Gef was real.
I'm gonna go with theory 2.
You're gonna go with theory 2 that it was all
mainly just because anytime it came to pony up, so to speak, and show Gef to these folks that are coming all this way to see him.
He's nervous, he hid, he ran away, he's gone
missing.
As
sort of a fun lark that just got out of control.
Yeah.
Then you can see how the ever-escalating bits of like trying to prove it with like, no, just give him some dog hair. Say he's not here right now. Oh fuck, they're coming to check him out.
Here's the footprints.
Yeah, these are people who are clearly want it to keep going.
It would have been fun to me if it was just the local townsfolk that they were kind of hoaxing. But once you start getting people to buy plane tickets, like airfare,
then I think it's even funnier.
That's when I don't like that, because it's just like, you're making people spend money, wasting their time, and then you come and give them dog hair and like a fake dog
out of it.
So I think these people should be in prison.
Yeah, I still say it's a mystery.
Despite a lack of definitive proof, Gef's legend and legacy have long outlived the Irving family, inspiring several books and at least one movie. Without a final answer or explanation, and because this one is just a fun one, let us say that the curious case of Gef the Talking Mongoose shall forever remain a mystery. Maybe he was real?
Is it a mystery, though?
In our heart of hearts, we know that he was real.
Maybe.
Okay.
I mean,
he was real, and he should be on their money.
That's well, maybe a town.
They should have little Gef bucks over
That's
there.
why they didn't make a
I don't know if they're on the Euro or not, but they should
be.
be.
That'll
be 2 Jeffs, please.
You like Gef?
Yeah.
I'd love for him to be real. How about that?
Yeah.
Me too. Me too.
Oh, we all.
See you next week, everybody. Remember, I can kill you if I want.
That's right, Gef. See you next week.
I mean, there were the cases of him leaving the house with bus fare, but I don't know. Maybe they heard the story of Jess, saw the mongoose, and be like, yeah, that's Gef. I don't know. I mean, it could be not. Let me know your thoughts on what do you think it was. Till next time, see ya.